Hello, everyone, and welcome to the radiation therapy information session. My name is Erin Ruggieri, and I am one of the marketing coordinators for the School of Health Sciences, so all health sciences programs at BCIT. Thank you again for joining us this noon hour for our radiation therapy info session. Our main presentation will be done by Lorraine Clark-Rowe, our program head for the radiation therapy program. But before we get started, I just want to go over a few things. First off, if you could please leave yourself on mute for the duration of the presentation, that will help limit any interference issues or any background noise. As you noticed as you came in, this session is being recorded. The reason we're doing that is twofold. One is so that we can put it on our website later for anybody who didn't know about this info session ahead of time. And second is so that we can send it to you guys after the session. So within about the next week to 10 days, we're going to send you an email with a copy of the recorded video and a copy of this slide deck. So if you miss anything as we go along, or you're not able to write anything down, don't worry too much about that. You will get a copy of this later to review. So as we proceed, the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. We also acknowledge that many of us are coming from other areas of the province today, please take a moment to acknowledge the territories that you're on as well. So our agenda for this session, it will be less than an hour, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time today, but we're going to start with our welcome and introductions, which is what I'm doing right now. Then we're going to watch a short video on radiation therapy. We're going to have a presentation and program overview, some information on program advising, and at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So as we go along, if you have any questions that are burning in your mind, please do put them into the chat function. And our program advisor, Maggie, will be able to answer some of those as we go along, and others we will save to the end and we will answer out loud as part of our Q&A. So again, please feel free to populate the chat and have any questions or comments there. Thank you. So Lorraine, I'd like to introduce you first off. Would you like to maybe do our poll before we jump into the video?
Yes, so let's do the poll. This is something you can participate in. So the question is, what is radiation therapy?
What do you think, Lorraine? Are most of us right?
Absolutely, yes. It is the treatment of cancer, mostly malignant disease, using high energy X-rays or photon beams. So 90% of you had it right.
Wonderful, thank you. And with that, I'm going to switch over and we're going to watch our radiation therapy program video.
So the most rewarding thing about my job is the satisfaction that I gain from taking care of my patients. So radiation therapy is a type of cancer treatment that uses high energy radiation to kill cancer cells. It can be delivered from outside the body. This is called external beam radiation therapy. Or it can be delivered from the inside using radioactive seeds, and this is called brachytherapy. We operate machines that are called linear accelerators or CT scanners, and these help with the planning and the delivery of the radiation treatments. The technology in this field is incredible. It's constantly advancing, and it's really great and exciting to work with, but also knowing that it'll benefit our patients. That's extremely rewarding.
So let's have another look over there. So the BCIT Radiation Therapy Program is a 33-month Bachelor of Science program. This is the only provincial program of its kind. We train all of the radiation therapists that will then graduate and most likely be hired within the province, if not elsewhere in Canada. VIRT stands for Virtual Environment for Radiation Therapy. This is a really unique software package that allows students to examine the more complex nature of planning that is involved in developing these techniques for patient treatment. Then the students are able to take that information, that knowledge and practice into a real environment.
What I love most about my job is being a part of a cancer patient's journey. And part of our role is to put them at ease and to help them go through this process. Seeing patients sort of overcome some of their anxieties and fears gives me a positive feeling and satisfaction.
Well, I do welcome all of you to this session, and our goal here is to inform you not only about radiation therapy as a career choice, but also about the program. And as I mentioned in the video, we are the only radiation therapy program in the province. It is a degree program, so our students graduate with a Bachelor of Science. So let's get into it a little bit. What is radiation therapy? So you heard from the video too that this is the treatment of mostly malignant tumors, cancers. There's a small fraction of our patients who have what we call benign or non-cancerous tumors, but certainly the majority of our patient case studies that we see are diagnosed with cancer. So a radiation therapist works with cancer patients throughout their journey. So we're responsible for imaging patients to establish the target area, and that's often the tumor site. We also plan optimal treatment under the guidance of a radiation oncologist. We utilize ionizing radiation sources and advanced technologies for daily treatment. And this is incredibly safe. Using radiation is monitored by the government. It is a very safe profession to work in. We interpret patient setup instructions so that we are accurate in delivering the radiation treatment each time that it's required. And we analyze and interpret radiation beam descriptions and dose calculations as well. We counsel patients by explaining procedures, the side effects of treatment, and provide guidance at each visit. So unlike many of the diagnostic professions where you may only see a patient once or twice, we see our patients for an ongoing period of time. When their treatment is scheduled, it's Monday to Friday, and it could cover several weeks, anywhere between 2-3 weeks as a short course to 6 or 7 weeks as a long course. So we really do get to know our patients. We maintain an accurate patient record system of the treatment that's been delivered, and we ensure that there's patient safety and quality care at each treatment time. So why might you choose radiation therapy? Well, you do graduate with a Bachelor of Science. So if you're someone that's already entered university, or you've already checked out our entrance requirements, which is at least first year sciences at university post-secondary level, you will graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree, and that's often very attractive to other students that haven't fully completed a degree elsewhere. Once you do graduate from our program, you're eligible to sit the National Certification Exam. So this is a final exam set by the National Professional Association that is required in order to work as a radiation therapist in Canada. Once you've completed that successfully, you are eligible to work anywhere in Canada. So if you train and graduate in British Columbia, it does not prevent you from applying for jobs anywhere else in the provinces. We are a cohort model, small class size. Currently, we're taking in 20 students. That's an increase from 12, and the increase was pushed to cover the shortage of radiation therapists that now exists in the province. So we've responded to the government's ask of going to 20. That may seem small, to you as well, but it is an increase for us, and it is a nice size class for us to manage. We have great support for students. So again, given that it's a cohort system of going through the program, you get to know each other very well, but also the faculty get to know you first name basis, support you if you're struggling, and other resources in BCIT that we'll cover later will also offer that support for anyone who might be struggling with any part of the program or life in general, I would say. Expert faculty. So our faculty are very well educated in all areas of radiation therapy. And where we draw on other expertise is with PhD level faculty in anatomy and physiology, applied social science, and pathology and other coursework that most of our faculty are at an advanced credential. So you're really getting the best of the best here. And again, we are the only radiation therapy program in British Columbia for this discipline. We work in a model that is called applied learning. And this is really, in my opinion, the best way to learn, because you get both. You get the academic, theoretical components of the discipline, the profession, but also hands-on. Hands-on is so critical. We give students opportunities in a lab setting to apply their skills and knowledge. And then in a clinical environment, students are placed in clinical to work within the team. And by working in a team environment in radiation therapy, you learn all of the skills and the competencies that are required to graduate successfully in this discipline. So the profile of a radiation therapist is someone who can work independently, but also works well in a team. And a lot of our work does involve working within a team on a treatment unit, as you saw in the video, that's called a linear accelerator or a LINAC. So there's both. It's very nice when you can work independently, but also working within a team is also a great environment. Enjoying learning about and using advanced technology, both hardware and software. And as Evan mentioned in the video, the advancements are constant. Everything we do is very complex and high technology, I would say. So the learning never stops. Even once you graduate from the program, what we call continuous learning, because things change so quickly. Having a keen interest in sciences, so this would include anatomy and physiology, as well as physics. There's a strong physics component. And then it's applied. So everything that you're being taught is going to ultimately be applied in action in the clinical environment. Enjoying patient interaction. So again, as I mentioned, it's not a one and done type of interaction with patients. We see them, we get to know them. They know us by a first name basis. And so it has that nice balance between the patient care component of healthcare and also the technology component. And demonstrating a high level of empathy, professional standards, and ethical conduct. Of course, that would be very important across all healthcare professions. So what makes a strong applicant? So a solid academic background, having the volunteer commitment or healthcare work experience, and you can see that we did make a slight change to that component of the application, mostly due to COVID and the restrictions placed on volunteer work in a clinical setting. So we will accept work experience in other types of work where you're involved with public interaction. So public interactions would mean that you're developing communication skills, problem-solving skills, empathy for people who request your assistance and so forth. So we are willing to look at other types of work experience that would demonstrate that type of skill development. People skills and teamwork, empathy and communication skills, of course, aptitude for technology, and enjoys continuous learning, taking on new challenges, because again, nothing stays the same, and it will continue to change. So certainly having that continuous learning is an important aspect of the work. And what would it take to be successful in this program? Well, there is a heavy course load. So, you know, the way that we look at this is that we're going to do a lot in a term when you're on campus so that we can keep the program shorter than, say, a traditional 4-year degree. So it means more hours scheduled into the timetable. There's group work, there's presentations, things that you would work on after hours. And also the clinical terms. So when it's a clinical term, you're essentially working a full-time job. It's 40 hours a week, Monday to Friday only, never on weekends or evenings. Typically, this means an 8 to 4 schedule, but it is being on your feet and working within the team for that 40-hour week within the term. Having a willingness to ask for help is also important. Once we accept our students, we do not like to see them go. We want to do everything we can to assist students, to support them. But honestly, it does need, you know, there is a need for the student to ask for that help at times as well. And we'll definitely step up to the plate with you on that one. Initiative, teamwork, critical thinking skills, and you can put in there problem solving as well. That's all part and parcel of what we do. Computer literacy, excellent physical and emotional health, given the work that's involved. Being on your feet, there's some lifting and moving, but we do teach best practices when it comes to lifting and moving, and those other aspects to ensure that you maintain your health across the board. So the program is a 33-month full-time Bachelor of Science program. So if you enter the program this September, you will graduate in May 2026. Now that might seem a long time in the future, but if you ask any of our current students, they will tell you it flies by. It's like it starts and it finishes in a blink. So again, it goes back to the way that we've structured the program with the course load in the academic terms, the clinical terms in between, and you get done and out into the workforce within that 33-month period. The program focuses on curriculum for radiation therapy practice, but also, because we are a degree, we do have research, so a capstone type of research project that you do across second year and third year. And there's also curriculum content based in leadership. And many of our graduates do go on to higher level positions. And because they have these leadership skills, it creates a good foundation for that movement up the ladder, as they say, in terms of career development. So we have the academic terms, we have simulation, which are the hands-on labs across patient care and techniques and activities that you'll do in clinical practice. So we do it in a lab, and then you go out for clinical. And the end goal then is competency in practice. And competency is defined as having the knowledge, the skill, and also the aptitude. So it takes those 3 components to identify and reach competency. Now, once you do graduate and you do successfully complete the national exam, there's employment within British Columbia in the 6 existing cancer centers. And if you've seen the news lately, there are plans to bring in more resources, more radiation therapy resources across the province. So they're really looking at expansion and what that means in terms of hiring more radiation therapists. Also working across Canada, as I mentioned before, so you have the option of going anywhere else once you successfully complete the national exam. So talking about career growth, and again, it starts with having that Bachelor of Science, which is a really great foundation to then look at ways that you could expand your career into being a supervisor or manager in the clinical departments. Education and teaching, so whether it's education, being an educator at a BCIT or other institution, or teaching in clinical. So there are positions called clinical educators. So that's another way that the graduates can tailor their career towards what they're passionate about, and often it's about teaching. There's also roles within research and clinical trials, as well as specialty or advanced practice in radiation therapy. So you can build on to your Bachelor of Science in areas where you're really passionate and you want to get that continuing education and credential to fit yourself into any of these roles in practice. This is Tara. So Tara gave us a testimonial. I'll let you read it. I won't read it line for line, but just so you know, Tara was a booking clerk in the radiation therapy department in Abbotsford. She noticed how, how positive and passionate radiation therapists are in the department, and she made it her goal to get into the program. And I can tell you, she's about to graduate, and she is a shining star. She's just going to do so well once she's a graduate and working in the clinical area. So we're really proud and pleased to have Tara in the program, as well as all of her classmates that are about to graduate in the spring. So admissions. So I'm going to talk about the admissions process. So again, if you're applying for this intake in September, the application period has already started, but it will end in May. Just so once we close the applications, we can start to select. It's not a first come, first serve. We do have a competitive model. So we wait until the application period has stopped, has closed, and then we start to make our selections. So the steps in applying for this program is to review the requirements and the application dates as mentioned. Convert all your documents to PDF. So what does all your documents mean? Well, it means your transcripts from university. Our entrance requirement is a first-year minimum of post-secondary courses that are specified on our website, but in general, it's physics, math, and English, and then liberal studies as well. Complete the Casper assessment. So Casper is a third-party platform to assess soft skills. So things like problem solving in a scenario, critical thinking, communication, as well as ethics, those things that aren't necessarily academic, but show that you are ready to take on a healthcare profession. So by it being a third-party platform, you would need to go to their website and register. And I would encourage you, if you're going to apply, do this step earlier rather than later. You don't have to have started your application yet to get registered with Casper, but do it sooner, as mentioned, because they do fill up and you may not get the time that you want or the date that you want if you leave it too late. The letter of reference is, again, just something to state a bit about your work experience and or healthcare experience perhaps, and identify that you've done at least 40 hours of whatever work / volunteer experience that you've done. And then the questionnaire. So the questionnaire is, what do you understand about the program? What do you understand about the commitment that you potentially are making to this program, and so forth. Everything is done online, so nothing is paper-based anymore. We ask that you go online at bcit.ca, make an application, start the process, start to submit your documents, and do it before the end date of May 28th. So what are we asking for? So it is quite a list. I'll point out the most important, and oh, did we skip? Thanks. So we do require some courses out of high school. So anatomy and physiology, English, physics 12 is really, really important here, because the 6 credits that we're asking for in physics below means that you've done grade 12 and then the 6 credits on top of that. Now, if you have not done physics 12, but you've done it physics at university or college, it's likely a grade 12 equivalent. So you really do have to look at your own transcript and determine, did I do grade 12 or did I do an equivalent grade 12 when I got to my college, my university term? And then you need the 6 credits on top of that. 3 credits of English at first year university, as well as the general education or liberal studies, as we tend to call it here, and the 6 credits of math. Again, preferably calculus based, but at that post-secondary level. So you'd have to look back at your grade 12, see what you did there, and whether or not your math credits meet this first level post-secondary. The Casper assessment, as I talked about, the letter of reference, mandatory questionnaire, and then preference will be given to applicants with further biology credits. We do rely on a lot of anatomy and physiology content, so anything you have in that area will just help you in the program as well. Academic grades above the minimum. So our minimum is 60%. Certainly we would like to see above that, but it's not a deterrent. If you're hitting 60 or a C grade, that is acceptable. Requirements completed within the last 5 years. So this is something that trips some people up. The reason for this one is to ensure that the knowledge you learned in the prereq courses would still be relevant and accessible in your cognition. So beyond 5 years, we would look at perhaps the type of work you've been doing after that and see if there's relevancy there and currency in your knowledge as well. So that's sort of a individual assessment if those courses and credits are more than 5 years old. Related experience, well, that's the volunteer work, but again, because of COVID, we did make a change, and working with the public is just as relevant. And additional post-secondary academic courses. Again, this is a minor asset. I would not put it, as a major asset, but certainly having more coursework perhaps does help in the selection process. So transcripts and documents, again, everything's done digitally. You're responsible for scanning, uploading, and submitting any paper documents such as transcripts. Mailing it in does not work anymore. So, we prefer that you do everything online. It does make life easier for everyone involved and probably for yourselves as well. If you are a current or past BCIT student, we can access your transcript through our internal platform, so you would not need to submit that. And admissions will access your BCIT record directly. So again, it's something we can do on your behalf here. So the admissions process, so how do we work this? So admissions reviews the applications to ensure requirements have been met. So you'll have a follow-up letter from the admissions officer once you apply to the program, in which it'll be stated what is been accepted and what requirements may have been missed or still need to be met. Admissions will forward the complete applications to the radiation therapy department. And after the application deadline, we start the selection process. And I just want to go back to the intake number of 20. Don't let that intimidate you. If you meet the requirements and you've done, you've dotted all the I's and you crossed all the T's, there is a very good chance that you will be accepted. Our application to seat ratio is about 1.5. In a good year, it's 2 to 1. So again, it's not like some programs where you may be faced with 10 applications for every seat. So if you meet the requirements, you've got the academics, you've enlisted for the CASPER, and you're successful there, there's a very good chance you will be accepted. Once we make those decisions, you will receive an acceptance letter requesting a commitment fee. You can always withdraw. We hope that you won't. But again, that's part of our process. The commitment fee is holding your seat until the full tuition is requested.
Okay, and I think this is where I take it over from you, Lorraine.
Thank you.
So that was a lot of information. I know we went over a lot of things there. Lorraine shared a lot about the career, about the program, and about how to apply. And I'm going to talk now a bit about what BCIT offers once you are a student here. So you've applied, you hopefully got accepted. BCIT wants to continue to support your success while you're a student here. So on your screen here are a few ways that we do that. The first off is our Indigenous Services Department. If your student identifies as Indigenous, we offer a welcoming gathering place. They have information on Indigenous specific funding and a number of other services for Indigenous students or for those interested in learning more. We also have our Student Financial Aid and Awards department that I urge you to check out if that's something you are interested in pursuing. Accessibility services is for those students who might have a long-term or short to long term or medium to long term need for accommodation in classes. If you have had support when you were in previous education, you might want to reach out to them. They work directly with your instructor to set things up for you, so they're a great resource. Student health services, one of my favorites. We have a full service medical clinic here on campus for students. So if you have a GP that you can't get into in a timely fashion, or you don't have a doctor locally, Student Health Services is a great resource. They have a doctor and nurse on staff, and you can book appointments sometimes within the same day, if not within probably the next day. And all their services are confidential as well. Counseling and student development, also confidential. They will not send information to your instructors or to your program, but they do offer counseling on anything from stress management and anxiety to relationship issues to anything else that you might normally see a counselor for. And recreation services. So we have in the same building as student health and counseling, we have our recreation services. We have a full service gym, cardio and weight machines. We have before school, after school, and noon hour fitness classes. So it's a great way to kind of get yourself ready for your day or to work off some stress and exhaustion at the end of your day. So please do check those out. Now, Lorraine is a great resource for information about the program and about the career, but if you're looking for admissions information, best contact is our program advising department. So Maggie in the chat, who's been answering much of your questions, she's from program advising. So she's part of the group here that is available with telephone advising, Zoom, and in-person advising, or email. Now, these times and dates on your screen might change. They tend to change term by term, season by season. So your best bet is to go on their website, bcit.ca/advising, and you can find all their information there. But they are great people to kind of walk you through your application and how yours stacks up, if you've got everything checked off, just to answer those questions or do a double check before you apply. So we'd love it if you continue to stay in touch with us after today's session. We are active on social media. School of Health Sciences has accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. A great way to see some images of what our students do, what's happening around campus, what classes look like, what labs look like. Radiation Therapy also has their own Instagram account that they've started up that's really fun to see kind of what the program is all about and see the excitement of what the students are doing week by week. We also have ways for you to learn more about BCIT as a whole, campus tours, spend a day, and other things listed on the right-hand side there. So with that, I'm going to take it to our question and answer period. Now, I know Maggie's been very busy in the chat, but Lorraine, did you have something to add first off?
Yeah, I was just going through the chat comments, and I just want to clarify about the 5-year recency. I see a couple of questions about that. So if you're in continuous education, so from high school into university, you complete a degree, obviously those courses in high school and first year may be at the 5-year or more limit of what I was talking about, but we look at that as you're continuing to be in education. It's not like you finished high school and there's a 5-year gap, or you finished university or some university and then there's a 5-year gap where you're not in a formal post-secondary institution. As long as you continued with your education without that huge gap, you're good. Those courses will still be relevant. You know, in my mind and how we've structured it, you're still learning, you're applying. So if you did biology in grade 12 and you went to university and you've got some more biology and so forth, that's all good, that's seamless. It's only when someone exits education, goes to the workplace and has that maybe 5-6 year gap, that's where it becomes a bit tricky.
Maggie, is there anything that you're saying in the chat that you wanted to bring up? I know there's one question, I can't find it now, that you were going to ask. Oh, yes. About work experience.
Yes, I was going to ask Lorraine. Hannah asked Lorraine, she was saying that they currently work for BC Ambulance as a call taker / dispatcher, which they plan to continue until school begins. The role itself, they were saying, has a high focus on communication empathy. Would this be sufficient to meet the volunteer requirement for the program?
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay,
absolutely, perfect. Yes. Yeah, and I saw someone who works in a palliative care, yeah. I believe it was. So absolutely, that is relevant. Volunteering at Red Cross, vaccination clinic, all good stuff. Absolutely, yeah, relevant.
You guys have some great volunteer experience.
Yes, yeah.
Experience. Oh my goodness.
COVID's over. Perhaps, but yeah, that's all good stuff. Yeah, for sure.
And someone asked me, Lorraine, have you taken mature students before? And they haven't been in school for many years. So again, kind of touching back to what you were talking about, the continual education. So that would apply no matter what age you are when you apply to the program. But if someone hasn't been in school for many, many years, for example, a redoing of the entrance requirements of the high school would probably be something you would recommend. Is that correct?
Yeah, I feel that would be a case by case, but yeah. You know, being out of education, it would then depend on the type of work. So if you had a degree in bachelor, got a Bachelor of Science, but then you let's say you work in a law office or something totally unrelated, that would be a difficult starting point and it would require some updating. So again, I would deal with that on an individual basis, given the situation. What we've done for other applicants is look at the continuation of education and assume that was all applicable because they remained in school in that learning environment where knowledge had to be applied across all courses to get to the degree endpoint. So two very, very different situations, but I would say someone who's a mature student who is out of school for a number of years, we would want to look at that as an individual situation.
Right.
And when Lorraine talks about looking at individual situations, you're going to want to connect after this call, either with program advising or with Lorraine herself. And I just put these email addresses up on screen.
Yeah.
Lorraine's a great contact. She loves chatting with people, right, Lorraine?
Sure I do. Email.
But there's one that we haven't answered on here. I see it just came up a bit ago. For the 6 credits of physics required, are they specific physics courses? Do we have a list of courses we accept, or any 6 physics credits?
Yeah, once you're in university, college, now if you've done Physics 100, that's often the grade 12 equivalent. So again, I would encourage you to look back at the level that it's posted at, because if it's a grade 12 equivalent, then you need another 6 credits on top of that.
Isabella has some questions about what exactly a radiation therapist does during a shift, aside from administering radiation.
Okay, so the treatments are very quick. They schedule patients for about 12-minute appointments. So beyond setting the patient up, as you saw in the video, Evan was setting up our patient. It's actually the chief of the Vancouver department. So there's the setting up and the accuracy of doing that. There's the verification activity that occurs before the beam goes on. So we're responsible for double checking everything that we're doing. We do beam on, which is a matter of seconds. And then we go in, we get the patient off, we talk off the treatment couch, and we talk with them. Perhaps they're having some side effects, so we may take them aside, talk to them about care of reactions, how to manage any side effects. It is a busy day in that, 12-minute appointments means things move along quickly. But we do always have that opportunity to take our patients to the side, speak to them, ensure that everything is going well for them. If they need to see the radiation oncologist, then we refer them. They might need a nutritionist. So we work with nutritionists, we work with nursing. Other components of our team include physics assistants. So if something does go wrong with the machine or something's glitchy, we have physicists and physics assistants that will come and help. So there is a broad team. It's an interprofessional team that we work within. So it's not just us alone, but delivering the treatment is the main, it's the bread and butter of what we do, along with the patient care.
Rajwinder has a follow-up to that. Do radiation therapists analyze any scans?
Yes, yeah, we do. That verification step that I mentioned for the treatment, before we do beam on, we have to look at their anatomy. We compare the anatomy, how the patient is positioned versus what was planned. We have to verify that. And before we do beam on. So yes, there is a lot of knowledge around analyzing scans, CT scan type images and so forth. MRI, PET CT is coming into our discipline in a big way. MRI fusion images, that's a big deal. So yes, there is a lot of that.
I think with that, I'm going to close this for today. I just want to thank you all again for coming online and asking your questions and learning more about our program and about radiation therapy. It's a very exciting field to get into. And I know all the radiation therapists I've met through working at BCIT have been so welcoming and kind and such a great group. So I really do appreciate their work. If you have any further questions, please do feel free to follow up with us. And again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.